Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my February wrap-up, which I'm actually very excited to share because considering this is such a short month, I think I really killed it this month. So in total, I read 14 books, which was 2,931 pages. That was 39 hours of physical reading time, making my average reading speed per hour 75.2. And I listened to 17 hours of audiobooks. I read 9 physical books, 2 audiobooks, 2 ARCs, and 1 ebook. Of these books, 6 of them I owned. 3 I acquired semi-close to this month. 3 I got from the library and 2 of them were ARCs. I read a wide array of genres this month, but my most read genre with 5 was romance. And then I had 3 fantasy, 2 nonfiction, 2 adventure, 1 contemporary, and 1 mystery. 10 of these books were adult, 3 were YA, and 2 were children's. That's not adding up. I'm guessing it was 9 adults because I only read 14 books and that's 15. This is not a seamless strategy. When these books were published, I had 2 published before 2010, 3 published from 2010 to 2019, 8 were recent backlist being 2020 to 2022, and 1 was a 2023 release. For my ratings, I had 1 DNF, 1 1-star, 1 2-star, 3 3-stars, 5 4-stars, and 3 5-stars, which is really great to have that many 5-stars for me, making my average for the month a 3.77, which is slightly lower than January. But I feel like in January I was just having like a lot of middle of the road books, and this month I had like some much lower rated things but more higher rated things, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and get into the books. As always, I'm going from my least favorite to my most favorite, starting with my DNF, which was The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I had been buddy reading this with a small group for quite some time, and I found myself just starting to dread reading the sections, so I decided to put it down. It is a very like textbook-esque nonfiction, so it just wasn't like really vibing with me, so I set this one aside. My 1-star, I haven't said this anywhere yet, I did post it on Goodreads, was my pick for reading my friend's favorites for Ashley from Of Fiction and Fantasy. And I feel bad giving this 1-star, but I feel like she knows and we all know that her and I do not have similar reading tastes. But this book was Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny something. Give me 1 second. By Ginny Myers Sane. This was tagged as fantasy, but it really wasn't. I would consider this like a paranormal mystery, and it was a YA paranormal mystery, which just are buzzwords that are like, Bailey, don't read this to me. So I don't know why when I read the synopsis and chose this one, I thought this was the best option for me. It was not. Then my 2-star was my first Magic Tree House of this month, and that was Earthquake in the Early Morning. Moving into my 3 stars, my first was You Never Forget Your First by Alexis Coe. This was for the Magic Tree House read along. It was our nonfiction pick for the month, and it was a biography on George Washington. I felt like the author maybe thought she was bringing a new spin on biographies of George Washington because she spoke about like not many women having written them, but then I felt like the follow-through, she didn't really bring that spice, so it was just kind of bland. Then I had an ARC, which was The Unexpected Fall by Anna Salcedo. Again, I thought this was just a pretty middle of the road romance. It is an office setting, dislike to lovers, and I thought it was a little long. Lastly, in the 3-star category, I have Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. The downfall for this book was the plot. It really lost itself throughout. I really love the narrator, I really love the setting, but the execution again just didn't quite work. And so jumping into my 4 stars and the things I liked a touch more, firstly was the other Magic Tree House book for the month, which was Twister on Tuesday. And then I have Happenstance by Tessa Bailey. This is something you could argue is not that good, but I had a really good time reading it. It's a reverse harem, 1 girl, 3 guys romance. Our main female character was really bland, but I thought the guys and the dynamic of the group was fairly interesting, and the spicy scenes were keeping keeping me intrigued. So then I have the first book in the Bookstar read-alongs for this year. They are reading the Bone Season series, and we started in February with the novella The Pale Dreamer. This was definitely just like a touch into the world and kind of what it was going to be, so it was hard for me to rate not knowing like what the context of this novella is going to be, but I thought it was well done. It had me interested in like what the series as a whole is going to be, and I'm excited to continue on in that series. This definitely still has me interested in doing the buddy read. Next, I have a romance in a series that this series is proving to be a steadfast series for me. It's something that I really look forward to reading as they come out, and I'm not sure if the series is done or not, but I read Well Traveled by Jen DeLuca, and this was a hit for me. The best part of this whole series is of course the setting, but I also do love that most of the men in the series are a little bit more like gruff, a little rugged, but also like performers. So I like the vibe of the men in this series, and this one was no exception. Then my final 4-star was This Winter by Alice Oseman. They as an author hold my whole heart, but I didn't think that this was necessarily their best work. As I'm already so deep into her universe, this really hit the spot, but I think like in terms of plot, was there much here? Not really, but personal enjoyment was high. And now getting into my 3 5-stars, 2 of which are actually rereads, so let's just get into those. First being Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I was a little nervous going into this reread. I think it is sometimes difficult to reread a mystery or thriller when you already know what the reveal is going to be, but I really do think that this one held up, and it was still spooky, and there were obviously things I had forgotten, so while still remembering the end twist and everything, I enjoyed this just as much again. My new 5-star was The Devil's Own Duke by Lenora Bell. I was excited to give this 5 stars because I think the first book in this series I only gave like 3 or 4 stars, but they aren't really super connected. They're definitely like a companion series. There's little cameos, you know, but this was definitely right book, right time. I was in the mood for historical romance, and this gave me everything I needed it to. This is a wallflower and kind of bad boy trope, and I thought that the journey this book in general took us on was very well executed, well paced, and I read this very fast. If you didn't see my last episode of Jokes on Me, I read this like so quickly. And my final book and final 5-star for the month was Jade City by Fonda Lee. This was a reread, and overall I just think that the crafting of this book is so well done. I stated I think this is an almost perfect fantasy book for me, just in terms of like how well everything is described, easy to follow, and then the characters, I just feel so connected to the characters. So I knew the first time I finished this that I wasn't ready or didn't have the time to finish the series, so I reread it now that I felt I potentially am ready, and all I can think about now is how excited I am to continue the series. So that is it. That was my month of February. Again, I think this was great for such a short month. I am hopeful going into March. I have a much busier like personal calendar in March, so it probably will be a little less, but I have high hopes. Let me know down below what your favorite book of February was, but thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!